So, hello, welcome. And today's workshop is the first in a two-part series, all about gratitude. And I do not mean in a cliche or fluffy sense. We can often associate gratitude with, uh, you know, closing ceremony in a yoga class or something like that. But it's one of the biggest misconceptions about gratitude is that it's about ignoring problems or focusing on ourselves and staying positive and when things are challenging or difficult in life. That's not what this is. Gratitude, when practiced intentionally, is a extremely powerful science-backed tool that can literally rewire the brain and does. It strengthens resilience, improves our relationships, performance, well-being, and it's not about pretending that everything's okay. It's about training the mind to see what is okay, even when life is challenging or difficult. And that shift changes everything. It really does. And we're going to look at that, the science, the evidence, the research, and the facts of that today, as well as proven science-backed framework for you to use today and every day from here on. So before we get into it, I get it all the time from guys who start out in the 12-week program and here on the self-leadership group and that, yeah, the week was okay, but I couldn't get around to that journaling or that gratitude stuff you were talking about. Well, today it's almost my mission to show you that this stuff is not some form of homework or daily inconvenience that needs sorting. Throughout this, I'll be referencing research, studies, and showing you showing you the science, the evidence, and the facts. So getting straight into it. The neuroscience and psychology of gratitude. It's a Gratitude is a positive emotional response that we perceive on giving or receiving a benefit. And you'll see a lot of references here today because I want to show you the research, the enormous amount of research and science-backed studies, academia, and so on that is now out there in gratitude and the power of it. So it's more than saying thank you. It's a mindset, a perception shift, okay, and a practice that redirects the brain towards positive abundance rather than negative lack. So in Western society today, we're almost conditioned to focus on achievements, right? Comparisons, titles, material possessions, and what next, right? Always like when I get to that amount of money, I'll be happy and so on, always seeking. Um, so gratitude can easily get dismissed easily as something as that's for hippies or yoga lovers and so on. Just not the case. So we're going to look at 6 key areas where gratitude has proven to have impact. Proven. One is neuroplasticity, dopamine and serotonin, amygdala regulation, emotional regulation, cognitive flexibility, stress reduction, sleep, and well-being. So with neuroplasticity, practicing gratitude fundamentally rewires a brain. Full stop. Regular gratitude increases synaptic connections in the medial prefrontal cortex associated with decision making, empathy, and self awareness. So, on that prefrontal cortex, talk about all the time, even on the 12-week program, always reference it as the place we want to be operating from predominantly. And it's the executive functioning center. It's responsible for decision making, emotional regulation, and this shows increased activity during gratitude practices and significant increased activity. So with neuroplasticity, when they use neuroimaging in studies, it shows clearly that individuals who are grateful and practice gratitude demonstrate enhanced prefrontal cortex functioning, leading to better impulse control and strategic thinking. Okay, better impulse control and strategic thinking. So obviously essential leadership qualities, right? With dopamine and serotonin, in terms of dopaminergic pathways, Gratitude triggers a release of dopamine. That's the neurotransmitter associated with reward and motivation. We talk about it from the very beginning. The neurotransmitters that we're always seeking with the 4 Ps: positive interactions, positive actions, positive thoughts, positive focus, are dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins. So the dopaminergic pathways, gratitude triggers the release of dopamine in a sustained, consistent way. So gratitude boosts dopamine and serotonin, dopamine being the reward, serotonin being contentment, if you wanted to summarize it in one word. So these are neurochemicals, neurotransmitters, neuromodulators linked with resilience and optimism. So with dopamine, unlike external rewards that create temporary spikes, gratitude generates sustained dopamine release, creating what Watkins et al. Termed positive neurospirals or positive feedback loops, which I've mentioned to you all the time throughout the 12-week program. The opposite of positive feedback loops being those negative spirals where we're thinking negatively, we're worried about everything, we're stressed, we're emotional, we try to fight it, we try to think our way out of it. Next thing, we get frustrated at our own thoughts, generating more negative emotions that we don't need, more panicky feelings, stress feelings, and we get into a negative spiral. And all the work that we do through the 12 weeks and into this self-leadership group, positive feedback loops are where we're at now. Positive feedback loops being the reinforcing neural patterns, okay? So making gratitude increasingly natural and automatic over time. So essentially, the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes, and then it becomes automatic over time. We can't even remember what it was like when we weren't practicing gratitude. So it's that positive feedback loop, generating more and more of it. Okay. So amygdala regulation, essentially emotional regulation. Gratitude practices strengthen the neural pathways between the prefrontal cortex, the intelligent part of the brain, and the limbic system, the primitive brain, that survival part, particularly the amygdala, that almond-sized, powerful, extremely powerful, emotional, fight, flight, freeze center of the primitive brain. And gratitude helps regulate that amygdala, reducing that hyperactivation or that threat response, the fight, flight, freeze response. So it enhances the enhanced connectivity. According to research by Emmons and McCullough in 2003, the enhanced connectivity improves emotional regulation by 23%. Okay. So according, again, to the studies, and also known as essentially composure under pressure, right? So if you're a leader, this is key to that extra composure under pressure, right? Literally turning down that survival stress response by 23%. And with cognitive, in terms of cognitive flexibility, which is the ability to adapt thinking to new situations, regular gratitude practices enhance cognitive flexibility. And Eisen et al. Demonstrated that positive emotions induced by gratitude broadens our cognition, leading to more creative problem solving and innovation. So again, turning down the noise of that primitive brain through regular gratitude practice, it engages that prefrontal cortex in as many different settings and circumstances. So that it'll make you think clear. If the prefrontal cortex is engaged, more innovation, more solutions, and more creative problem solving will flow. Stress reduction. Okay. So straightforward, gratitude measurably reduces cortisol levels, stress hormones in the body, by an average of 12%. So lower stress hormones, as we know, improve immune function, sleep quality, and decision-making capacity. Sleep and well-being. People who practice gratitude report better sleep, lower depression, and greater life satisfaction. That's Wood et al. So here are some of the incredible findings just summarized from a massive amount of scientific research, guys. So I'll get on to that in a minute, but we'll just go through it here. With mental health, 25% reduction in depression symptoms after 6 weeks of gratitude practice. Life satisfaction, 18% increase in overall life satisfaction scores. Stress reduction, 23% decrease in perceived stress, and 16% reduction in cortisol levels. With relationship quality, a 31% improvement in relationship satisfaction scores. And with physical health, 12% improvement in energy levels and 19% increase in exercise frequency. Okay. So those are incredible numbers from, honestly, there's enormous amounts of scientific research studies now on gratitude, and these are just some of the findings. Okay. So, as I said in the introduction, the reason I went particularly heavy on research this week for this one is that I know some of you can find it difficult to write at night before bed. In the past, when I've asked some clients about their week, as I said at the beginning, I often hear it's been a good week or it's been okay, but I didn't do that journal stuff that you said to do that night. And again, I want to emphasize this is not school, it's not homework. This is scientifically proven to reduce stress, help you think better, feel better, enjoy life more, motivation, drive, better physical health, brain health, better relationship quality. And so if I said to you, I've got this new supplement, right? I've got a supplement, it's incredible. It does all of this with no side effects. So mental health, 25% reduction in depression after 6 weeks. It gives an increase of life satisfaction by 18%, stress reduction by 23%, 16% reduction in cortisol levels, relationship quality, it will go up by 31%. When you take the supplement, your physical health, you'll have a 12% improvement, your 19% increase in exercise frequency. You would literally say, Barry, give me some of that, right? And here's whatever it costs. I'll take some of that supplement, zero down. There's no side effects. Yet when we're asked to put the phone down, to take 10 minutes per day to write with a pen on a page, we struggle. I want you to think about that. Okay. If there was a supplement, I could name a price for this. But because it takes 10 minutes every night, we struggle. So you've all made significant progress in your own personal journeys, right? But this needs to be the non-negotiable, okay? And if you say, I just find it difficult to get started and in the routine of it, well, remember, if you're struggling to get into that routine, remember what I said here. It creates the sustained dopamine release, okay? And creates this positive feedback loop. So once you start, continue doing it, get into the pattern. It's not a habit. This isn't a routine. It becomes a behavior. It becomes a pattern behavior that makes gratitude and practicing it automatic over time. It's a whole new mindset that needs to be nurtured, and it becomes solid in place. And we can't even think about going back to where we were previously, right? So I know from day one of even the 12-week program, let's talk about a framework for this gratitude that I want you to use now. So in the 12-week program, we talked about the 3, 3, and 3. 3 things went well today, 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things you're looking forward to. But this specific exercise called the 3 good things exercise is different, okay? 3 good things exercise developed and extensively validated by Martin Seligman and colleagues at the University of Pennsylvania. It's the most rigorously tested gratitude intervention in psychological research. Okay, so there's over 50 peer-reviewed studies have confirmed its effectiveness across populations in different contexts. So scientific validation, it's been tested in 12 countries, over 15,000 participants, shows consistent benefits across age groups from 8 to 85, maintains effectiveness for at least 6 months post-intervention, and demonstrates both immediate and cumulative benefits. So remember, this is what we're after, this secret supplement called gratitude, right? And this is the way to get it. 3 good things, okay? 3 good things exercise. So I know a lot of you guys are really consistent with your journaling practice, and we absolutely want to keep it that way now, okay? Given the facts and the data that we've just looked at. But this next week in particular, I want you to really concentrate on gratitude and this three good things exercise. So we get momentum going, particularly in this. So with the core technique, daily practice structure every evening, writing down three things that went well during the day. And for each of those things, reflect on, go deeper on them. So one, explain why you think each good thing happened. Two, how did that thing make you feel? So we're involving feelings now, making it more powerful. Three, what was your role in making that thing happen? Okay. You want to take a note of those? You can. This is the main part of the framework. Okay. So yes, we've practiced, as I said, the 3, 3, and 3 before. Now we're taking a step further, a step deeper, if you like. And here's why. Here's the science. So detailed gratitude activates the hippocampus more effectively than general appreciation. So not just writing three things that we're grateful for, and that's it. Today, I was grateful for that meal, and that's it. We're going deeper than that. So we're enhancing memory consolidation of positive experiences. Specific gratitude also increases activity in the left prefrontal cortex, and that's associated with approach motivation and goal pursuit. So approach motivation is essentially determination. It's an excitement toward potential reward, which is the opposite to avoidance motivation, which is a drive to move away from a negative stimuli or a potential punishment. So general appreciation being our old way of being grateful, if you like, right? So not just writing three general things every evening. We're really going deeper on that now and taking this all a step further to get the most powerful benefits from this practice, as we've just looked at those facts and figures. That's what we're after now. So we have to go deeper in order to get that. So critical components for effectiveness. When you're practicing and doing this framework and doing this exercise, I want you to write 2 to 3 sentences for each good thing. So good things in the evening, and write 2 to 3 sentences for each good thing. Include sensory details, what you saw, heard, felt, tasted. Okay. Describe your emotional response in the moment. So bringing in emotions. Well, I felt excited. I felt joy. I felt content, peaceful, right? And note the context and circumstances. So the environment, where you were, could be weather, could be place, people around you. We'll do this exercise now in a minute. So an example, instead of had a nice lunch, which you might have wrote before in the framework from the 12-week program, had a nice lunch, right? We were just trying to get things moving in the mind, okay? Get the brain operating from the prefrontal cortex previously. As I said, now we're going that bit further. So instead of had a nice lunch, had a good meeting, right? We're going further. So for example, instead of that, we're writing, enjoyed a quiet, peaceful lunch break, sitting outside on this nice, calm day. I could hear the birds chirping, felt genuinely relaxed for the first time today. The fresh salad I prepared was delicious. I felt great, proud, a sense of control from preparing and choosing a healthy option. This 20-minute break helped me feel genuinely relaxed, helped me feel healthy and recharged for the afternoon. Okay. 2, 3, 4 sentences. I got a paragraph for each of those three good things you're going to write down in the evening. That's an example of what we're looking for here, to bring in, as I said, bring in the senses, describe the surroundings, how you felt, really important, how you felt great, proud, sense of control from preparing the healthy option. 20-minute break, help me feel genuinely relaxed, healthy, recharged for the afternoon. Just an example, okay? That's what we're after here. And if you can, include core values, right? What core values were expressed in your three things? What character strengths you expressed? Other people's contributions, other people's actions they took, kindness, support you received, generosity. And again, environment, so weather, timings, location. So if you can, include core values. Okay, so health, we talked about there. Character strengths that you expressed, right? Other people's contributions, and so on. Include where possible, right? So why did this peaceful lunch happen? Okay, so core value of health, growth that you expressed in the good thing. So I made the conscious choice to step away from the desk or the laptop, put away my phone, to eat outside instead of working through lunch. This expressed my strength of discipline and self-regulation. Other people's contributions. My colleague kept an eye out for the phone or on my laptop so I could have a proper break. Circumstances, the weather was perfect, and outside the front of the cafe or the park wasn't crowded today. It was calm. And again, these are examples, but we want to capture as many angles and details as possible. So let's try it out. It's going to take 5 minutes for this. You'd write down one thing that went well today. And for each thing, or this week, if not today, this week. So that one thing, explain why you think it happened. Could be personal growth, could be a goal or an aim, or you'll know why, but why you think it happened. How did that thing make you feel? What was your role in making that thing happen? Around 2 to 3 sentences for each, for that good thing. Including what you saw, heard, felt. Describe your emotional responses. And the environment, circumstances. 2 to 3 sentences. now, if you can, include core values. What core values of yours were expressed in that good thing? What character strengths you expressed? Discipline, self-regulation, and other people. What other people, if any, were involved, and the actions they took: kindness, support, received, generosity, their involvement, and then the environment, if you haven't done so: weather, timing, location. Expand on it. Another minute or two in that.